The recent revelation by talk show host and attorney-at-law Richard Fredrick of government's acquisition of 2 parcels of land has ignited a firestorm on the eve of the general elections. The transaction, confirmed in Cabinet Conclusion 281A of April 19, 2021, outlines the amount and method of payment. The talk show host Richard Fredrick has taken issue with at least 4 aspects of the transaction, among them the cost of the land, $9.4 million for 7 acres, the timing of the payment, the company to which the payment is being made, and the reason for government at this time purchasing land in the Anse La Raye canneries area for use sometime in the future. Fredrick says it all looks very questionable.
6 weeks before the 5th anniversary of the last elections, the guys went into cabinet, hear me, and acquired the very land on which the Dolphin Park was supposed to have been built. So, all along, the idea of the Dolphin Park was thrown out because the intention was to acquire that land. The public figured we want no Dolphin Park. Government relented in that regard, but they treated the land as unfinished business.
But the man at the front and center of this transaction, City Attorney Mark Maragh, accuses his colleague Richard Fredrick of being selective in the information which he puts before the public.
I wish to issue a word of caution to him that if he is going to run a story, he should first contact the person against whom he is running the story, but also make sure he puts forward all of the facts so that the truth can be known by the public. And to John Doe or the public, I would say, be very careful in the information that you receive from persons who have their own biases and their own agendas to serve. But Richard Fredrick, in his ire to get at Alan Chasney and Mark Maragh, has selectively chosen documents from the land registry file to give a mired and obscure view of the true facts. The fact is that by an email of September 12, 2012, Dr. Kenny Anthony, in responding to then Representative for Anse La Raye, indicated his favor for the Dolphin Cove project in that area.
The land in question belonged to the now deceased Edward Joseph, or Chef Harry as he was popularly known. Fredrick questioned why, with the land still vested in Mr. Joseph's name, is the government making payment to Gold Star Investment Inc., owned in part by Mark Maragh.
The land is vested in Edward Joseph, deceased. The land still remains in his name up to today as we speak. But yet, Cabinet has a conclusion agreeing to pay Gold Sky Investments $9.4 million in compensation for land not vested in that company's name.
Maragh says the suggestion that the transaction started with the Alan Chasney administration is misleading and furnishes documents to support his claim.
In January 2018, the government commissioned its own valuer to value the property, and it was that value who arrived at a valuation of $9.5 million for the property. In negotiations with the government, myself, Clark and Sewak agreed to waive any request for interest and agreed to whatever proposal and payment plan that the government would suggest. In October of 2013, the SLP administration acquired those lands, which belonged to a company belonging to myself, Manasseh Sewak, and Curtis Clark. And he did so, the SLP did so for the purposes of establishing the Dolphin Cove project in Anse Jambette. From 2013 until recently, this company belonging to myself, Manasseh and Clark have sought to obtain compensation with very little gain.
To the outspoken talk show host who's been a thorn in the side of the Alan Chasney administration, this latest transaction is all too perplexing.
Compensation to Gold Sky Inc. Investment Inc. in the sum of $9,400,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars. Y'all are hearing this? Y'all are hearing this? As full and final payment for the block and parcels 95 and 96 acquired to facilitate future touristic development.
In the circumstances, it is very clear that Fredrick, in his own myopic and selfish desire for political power, is prepared to sacrifice the reputations of good, honest people at the altar of political ambition.
This raging debate is far from over. Attorney and part owner of the land being acquired by the government, Mark Maragh, says contrary to Richard Fredrick's suggestion, there's nothing irregular about this transaction. But Richard Fredrick sees it all very differently. He describes the payment of $9.4 million at this time for land not intended for immediate use to politically well-connected people this late in the political cycle as very questionable. Stanley Lucian for the HGS News Force.